Hi everyone, this is a short video about three things that I want you to think about when you're going through this chapter, especially as you go into this first discussion this week, in the middle of the week here. So the first one is I want you to keep this in mind that the media is one of four sources of gendered messaging, or where we get our socialization, our ideas about gender. So it's not to say that the media is the only one. There's three other sources of messages, and yeah, sometimes those messages are in conflict with each other and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's just one place we get these notions from. And the media both creates and reinforces these ideas. So it kind of has a funny dynamic to it in that sense, or a little bit different. A lot of people think that the media doesn't have much effect on them, but countless studies show over and over again that it does. And the textbook does a good job of covering some of that information, not all of it. I could tell you, I actually have a degree in media arts, and so I could tell you there is a mountain of research about this type of thing. I mean, if the media didn't have an effect on how you think and behave, advertising would not exist. And if you've ever bought in something that you saw advertised on TV, then you have been influenced by the media, whether you like that or not. And I bet almost everyone, maybe not everybody, but almost everybody. So media has a really powerful impact on us, and oftentimes we're not totally aware of it. And that also applies to gender. So the next thing that I want you to think about is that media can both reflect and shape our understandings of gender or anything in our culture. So media reflects culture, and it's also part of your culture. Media likes to show us what we expect or what we want. That's how they sell us stuff. So it's a reflection oftentimes, and that's why it changes over time, right? It's reflecting back what our cultural ideals or ideologies. And sometimes it reflects what the dominant mainstream is experiencing, and sometimes it doesn't. I think increasingly media, no, it's not certainly not perfect, but it represents points of view that are not within the dominant ideology, at least not quite yet. And so it can both reflect culture and it can shape our cultural understandings. And so it's not one way, it's at least two ways. It's a different way of putting it. And it can therefore both advance progressive ideas and more regressive. And so you'll kind of see, if you look at different examples, don't think that all of them are going to have the exact same pattern, because they don't. They won't. I think especially right now, increasingly, you'll see some more regressive stuff on like television or in the movies. It's that portrays a lot of stereotypes, and then increasingly you'll see stuff that doesn't and tries to break those boundaries. And then you could also see a lot of examples where maybe the same piece of culture is doing both. Like a really popular show right now is Game of Thrones. So that is a classic show, if you analyze it, that is going to have both progressive and regressive tendencies. There's a lot of characters that are trying to break out of gendered stereotypes, and like the women are typically pretty strong, but then there's also some pretty clear, like stereotypical messages about masculinity and some other stuff in there. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it in this short video, but it has both. And you could probably I think if you wanted to write about that or something, you could argue you could argue that it is either progressive or regressive, and you would probably, if your analysis was really strong, you could have like sort of the right answer, an argument that made sense. So keep that in mind, that the media goes more than one direction, and it's also always changing. So if you look at something from the 70s, it's going to be a lot different than stuff from today. And those are just three things actually, that I wanted you to think about as you're working through this module, and then especially as you start the discussion for this week. I think hopefully that will help you to remember this isn't an all or nothing type thing. There's no such thing. That's just not how communication studies work. So have a good day.